Labor's Ed Husic, who joins me here in the studio.
G'day.
First of all, we saw what Labor did in the House last night. Eventually, you didn't get your amendments up, you waved it through the House. Is that going to happen in the Senate too?
What we want to do now is be able to talk with the crossbench and hope that the government sees common sense in terms of what we're putting forward.
There's no signs of that, though, is there?
Yeah, well, I'm never too confident about a coalition seeing common sense in any argument, but, you know, I would put it this way. On a day where the Reserve Bank, you know, was so concerned about the state of the economy, they cut interest rates again within the space of months to record lows. You know, at a time where the Reserve Bank is acting that way, all you hear out of the coalition are chants, you know, what do we want, tax cuts, when do we want them, 5 years' time? That's not the time that this will have the big impact. The time is now. So they voted against tax cuts for every Australian worker in this term. They voted against economic stimulus that would make a difference now. And all they're doing, effectively, I think, is engaging in a vanity exercise. They don't want to bring the tax cuts forward because they want to be able to declare they've got a surplus. We're not interested in political stunts. What we need to see is action now to help the economy so that we don't have deferred injection of stimulus at a point where it's not really going to have the same impact.
Are we going to see any stunts in the Senate from Labor? I mean, when it comes down to it, what is your position on what you think that the party should do as a whole? Do you think you should hold firm and stick to your stated principles and not lend your numbers in order to get the government's package through?
So we've been saying over the last few days a number of things. One is we want to see a boost to the economy now. We want to see every Australian worker get a tax cut in the term of this parliament, not down the track. We also think that the stage 3 should be put off $95 billion. Like, we're making a commitment about that won't take effect for years to come. We've said we'll put our amendments and talk with the crossbench, hope that the government sees sense. And if we get to the point where there's, you know, we're reaching an impasse, the shadow cabinet will, you know, review where we're at and make a decision down the track. So we're trying to be constructive here, trying to make sure we get the economic boost that's required and deliver tax cuts when needed. I have seen some stuff, you know, today in the Daily Telegraph, for example, Anna Caldwell wrote that people in my neck of the woods in Western Sydney would be denied a tax cut of $15,000. And I was scratching my head. I looked at the article, and it's over 10 years. Because the number of people in the Chifley electorate that earn over $180,000 comes up to the grand total of 0.5%. What we want to do is see tax cuts now for the people I represent. The Labor position is going to deliver that. And some of the stuff, some of the coverage, as I said, like, just, you know, makes you scratch your head. Some
of those tax cuts, though, will come next week. Josh Frydenberg says low and middle income earners will get $1,080 next week if they put in their tax return. That's good news, surely.
Yeah, we want stages 1 and 2 now. We're saying to change, make some of those changes and deliver that tax relief now.
All right, a few other things. Can I ask you about the terror raids in Sydney yesterday? This is a concerning development. Our authorities have been able to stop 16 terror attacks in this country over the last couple of years. Now Peter Dutton wants, in the wake of this, to see the exclusion laws. So it would stop those that have been fighting in Islamic State to be able to come back here to Australia or be excluded from coming here for another 2 years. Is that a good idea?
Can I just firstly I think a lot of Australians are very grateful for the work that the intelligence and law and order agencies, the way they work together to prevent those attacks, showed again yesterday, very important, and we're very grateful for what they're doing there. You know, the government's got a problem with Peter Dutton in terms of national security. You know, you really can't trust this bloke when he's putting forward his claims. He either overreaches or over-eggs his claims and exaggerates, or he welches on deals. You know, and with this law that's being proposed, it's gone through the bipartisan parliamentary committee. They've put forward recommendations. Now the test is on the government whether or not they'll accept that and in full faith and in full good faith reflect what the committee's done. On encryption last year, they told us when they didn't even put their own laws into Parliament that they'd come back in the new year, this year, and put what the bipartisan committee had recommended forward in amendments.
Over-egged here? I mean, this front
page
you saw what he did.
You saw what he did on Medivac and the claims that he was making in relation to Medivac.
We heard this from police yesterday.
He can't help himself when he's putting forward arguments. We have a bipartisan committee that has recommended changes to the laws that he's now talking about. and we'll see what they say. We want to be able to... The thing is, you want to be able to work together with the government on the laws that they propose. If there are things that come out of examination that should be changed, and both sides, representatives of both sides are saying, we reckon this will make a stronger bill, do it, we'll see. But again, Peter Dutton, he either over-exaggerates or welches on deals, and that is bad for a government that wants to get good faith on national security. But
when a de-radicalisation program hasn't worked, and you have an individual who's been through the program and still want to inflict a terrorist attack against Australians in churches and at police stations, I mean...
No, you want to be able to deal with that. Absolutely.
What's he overeating, though?
Oh, absolutely. No, I'm saying that Peter Dutton, when he puts forward, and the way that he conducts himself, you've got to look, doubly carefully at what's being put forward by them. We have a bipartisan committee that's done just that, and they've made recommendations on how to improve that law. But again, I think we don't want people who have gone off, fought, not been successfully de-radicalised and pose a threat. You've got to be able to deal with that. No brainer.
Yeah. One question on media freedom laws. We have Cabinet approving this to be reviewed through the same committee, the PJCIS, the Intelligence and Security Committee. Labor seems to want a different body altogether that would include the crossbench. Why?
Well, because I think it'd be a much more robust, much more fair income examination, much broader than what is being put forward now.
Do you think we even need it?
In terms of press freedom?
An inquiry?
Yeah, I do.
Media bosses are saying, just change the laws, we know what's wrong with them.
Well, so there's an element of that, but there's also been a case of, in times past, where there have been media raids on media outlets, and we've had Senate inquiries recommend change and the government hasn't acted. I think we need to look at the government in action, what needs to be strengthened as a result, to be able to give people the ability to recommend better outcomes. I think that's what we're trying to push for.
Just quickly, I know you went to Christchurch and there was a really important symbolic moment in the Parliament yesterday. Tell us about that.
Well, I visited Fareed Ahmed, who lost his wife back in March. He had been in the mosque consoling someone who was just diagnosed with cancer. And she had gone and saved a number of people, made sure that they got off to safety. And then she went back in to save Fareed because he's wheelchair bound, and the gunman got her. A bloke like that, you would understand, would feel a range of emotions and be really worked up about it. And he took the view, no, I'm going to forgive, which he said publicly straight after. And he's dedicated himself to bringing communities together. I was very grateful he loaned me his Quran, his family's copy of the Quran, and I took my parliamentary oath on that. And I just figure, given how close our countries are, and given the way that Fareed has dedicated himself to better, stronger communities, I'm more than happy to stand with a person like that.
Ed Husic, appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you.